Welcome! You've made it to episode 2 of Mind the Gap. My name is C, and I'm so happy to have you back here for our second go round. And I want to wish everyone an extremely happy new year. I know that every new year brings different feelings for everybody, but for me personally, I stayed up until 3 a.m. listening to the fireworks in my neighborhood, which would normally be really annoying. But to me, for the first time, they sounded like a real celebration and kind of a demarcation of something actually happening, something good, a party, a sign of things to come, and I felt really good about it. It doesn't really have anything to do with it being a new year per se. I just know that we are so close to things changing, from a leadership standpoint in our country, but also getting the COVID vaccine. And I don't know about you guys, but I've literally been in my house for, 290 days, and I've been working from home and only going out for groceries, the pharmacy. Obviously, I sneak out and get these guys done, and that's about it. So my husband, he goes out to work every now and then, but he works from home a lot too. So we are those people who stay home and hunker down and try to save lives by staying in. So we'll talk about that in another episode. But before I go any further, I just wanted to say thank you so much for everybody who has been following and interacting on our Instagram page, on TikTok, which has been so fun, and also on Twitter, which has been hilarious. I just can't believe the outpouring of support and interaction. It's been so great. So if you have just been watching on YouTube, please be sure to follow on Instagram. We'll always post our episodes on IGTV, so you can watch on there if you're not a YouTube fan for some reason. And we also have a TikTok channel, and we are on Twitter as well. So you can keep up with us anywhere you like. And I know our first episode was kind of rambly, so I wanted to give you kind of a more official list of the topics that we're going to cover. And just like me, the show's going to kind of float all over the place, and we'll flip from topic to topic, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what I'm all about. So things that we're going to be talking about here in the next few months will be issues surrounding Black Lives Matter and becoming anti-racist, especially for my fellow white women. It's something that I'm going to really dig into, and something that I know that many people have let slip off their plates the past few months. So we'll get back into that. General activism. I know a lot of us have become, activists over the past couple of years, and then there are others of us who have been activists for a long time. So we'll talk about that experience and how people who are new to the world of activism feel about that, and then the OGs and what that's like for them to have absorbed all these new people into their endeavors. I'd like to talk about, running for office, especially women, and great organizations like Run for Something. We'll talk about feminism in general, which we'll be getting to actually later today. And a really big topic that has shaped a huge part of my life is growing up in an evangelical world and in the world of homeschooling, and then becoming ex-evangelical, which I mentioned a lot in the first episode. We'll be touching on purity culture a lot, and talking about that Empty the Pews movement that I think I mentioned in the first episode. I also talked a little bit in the first episode about my passion for domestic violence awareness and sexual assault activism. We're going to talk a lot about that and the pro-choice movement. This all ties in, of course, with feminism and fighting the patriarchy, which I do every day and makes me feel very tired, but aren't we all? We'll also touch on workplace equality throughout the episodes. And I'm personally child-free by choice, but I love children. I love other people's children. I think the beauty of feminism and being a woman is that you have the choice to do whatever you want from a procreation standpoint. And so we're going to be getting really deep into that subject because it's one of my favorites. But just to reiterate, like I did in the first episode, I am child-free by choice. So let's get into answering the question that I asked in the first episode. I cannot tell you how great the responses have been, and I wish I had time to get into every one of them and to read you every one and to show you every hilarious screenshot and tell every heartbreaking personal story. But there were a lot of things people wanted to talk about with someone who had had the same experiences, but they didn't want me to share it on the show, which is totally fine. And then there are people who said, yes, you're welcome to read everything I wrote. Just don't say my name. So I'll go through a few of the responses, and this will kind of be the format of our show for the time being. And I don't know how often I'll put out shows. I have a day job that keeps me very busy. I'm also a podcaster in a completely different world. And so we'll see how this goes as we head into the new year. But I wanted to read you a really interesting response I got to when I asked the question, what radicalized you? And what I meant when I asked that was anything. What radicalized you to become, more of a feminist, or to leave your church, or, to become a pro-choice activist, or to start, defending women in the workplace. And I spoke with someone who talked about leaving the church, and this was very impactful, so I'm going to read it word for word to be sure that you get the full the full feeling of what they shared with me. They said, I never liked the thing about women having to be submissive or having to act feminine, or about not being gay. My first crush on a woman at 14 was probably a big factor, but I didn't have my turning point until age 19 during summer missions in El Salvador. The people we were trying to reach needed food, toothbrushes, medical care, etc. The message of the gospel seemed about as meaningful as a chain letter and less useful. And now that I think about it, we're probably going to do an episode about white saviorism and all these, mission trips that are so popular with these churches, and what they mean and what they don't mean, and the actual harm that they can do. But I thought that was really powerful, that even after all of the the shaming from a sexuality standpoint, it was that mission trip and realizing that people needed something completely different that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for this person. So thank you to her for sharing. I know that that's tough to talk about, and I definitely appreciate those of you who gave me permission to share what you had to say. Now this next response to me was pure poetry, and I loved it so much, and I hope that you will too. I asked her, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? And this is someone I don't know who reached out to me online, and I just thought that her response was lovely. And again, I'm going to read it verbatim so I don't miss a beat. What was the straw that broke the camel's back? My question. There wasn't one straw, or even hundreds. The camel could have carried more, if I'm being honest. But the camel had seen each of its friends married young and ride off into the sunset of babies and Pinterest homes and being uninterested in such things. The camel went to church one day and discovered she had no peers. The adults were all marrieds and college students, and if not that, then desperately seeking to no longer be her kind of camel. Camel could have looked too. Camel could have conformed like she was good at. Camel could have carried much more before it broke her, but Camel missed an important caravan and got a chance to see what this world was like when you no longer have a place you easily fit in it. Camel didn't break, never turned away with a swish of her camel cape, especially tailored, I imagine. Camel just let the caravan move along without her, put down the straw she never questioned why she was carrying, moved along on her own out into other parts of the world, much, much wider and full of more wondrous creatures than you can find in just that desert the old caravan would walk circles in anyway. Do you not love this person? Is she not a poet in her own time? Her name is Joy, and I'm gonna try to convince her to let me tag her on all the socials, but I just absolutely loved that. And I'll probably put a clip of just that on our Instagram because I just really loved it. And actually I was kind of jealous of Joy because I probably was in the desert a lot longer before I, went and got my specially tailored cape. So well said, Joy, well said. Among the other people that weren't really comfortable with talking about their experiences so openly on YouTube, I spoke with a lot of religious trauma survivors and, people who experienced sexual assault within the church and who are still recovering from purity culture, which is so dangerous and long lasting. And I mentioned in the first episode, I'm over 40 years old, and these are people that are my age that are still, maybe on their second or third marriages, working through this, and in therapy. And some of the stories just absolutely broke my heart. And I do have one person who wants to come on the show and talk about their experience, but it's going to be a whole separate episode because I think we'll do a full interview with them. Which I think will be really good. I actually bonded with a lot of people too who have been through real radicalization experiences who are, skin cancer survivors, and I'm a skin cancer survivor, and they're, cat lovers, and I'm a cat lover, which eventually I'll get to my pets because they're, kind of my children since I don't have human children. So it's kind of cool to bond with people when I set out to talk about these topics, and then we ended up, liking other things too. So the beauty of the internet, and it was really funny how different social media platforms, draw in different kinds of people, which we all know, but it's my first experience talking about topics like this online. These are usually things I talk, with my friends about. So it was just a cool new experience for me. Before I move on to our next question for next time, I have a couple of funny things to tell. I got my first YouTube comment, which was a thrill, and I went to read it, and it was a guy in the UK or something and explaining what feminism is and how dangerous it is, and how words like, misogyny and mansplaining and the patriarchy are damaging to the world, and it's falling apart because of these vocabulary words. So he mansplained everything to me well in the comments, and I wrote him back and I said, "You're my first YouTube comment. Thank you so much. I'll save it forever." And he wrote back so seriously and said, "I hope that I helped you figure it all out." So thanks, men. I'm so glad you're always there for us. And then finally, I got this great comment on my Instagram. As you know, our show is Mind the Gap. And this comment says, "The gap in the upper front teeth has numerous benefits. It is a fused teeth instead of one. You don't even have to floss. It's sexy. Even Madonna has it. Leah Seydoux has it. William Dafoe has it. A gap is sexy in the teeth." So just gas me up on Instagram, Pocket 007. I mean, what a day. So moving on to our next topic for next time. I'm interested in knowing who your favorite in real life feminist is. Not, your Gloria Steinem or your Bell Hooks or whoever. I want to know who your favorite feminist in real life is. And I'm going to wait and tell you mine. But I want to hear, and if there's more than one, even better. If it's yourself, that's amazing. Tell me what you've done. But I want to talk next time about your favorite feminist, and I'd love to hear from some men on this. That would be great. And why. And if you can introduce me to them, that would be wonderful. Tag them. If you're watching this on IGTV, tag them in the comments. But I can't wait until I get to interact with you guys about this. Obviously, I'm extremely passionate about feminism and what it means. Intersectional feminism is the only kind of feminism, by the way. If it's not intersectional, it's not feminism. And so let's talk about it. And I will gather your responses, and we can also talk offline like I did with our last topic. But I look forward to continuing our discussions with Mind the Gap. And again, I appreciate all of the cheer and goodwill and the trust that you've put in me as we've gotten this haphazard project off the ground. So thanks for joining me. And I can't wait to see you all on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. And you can always email me. Just go to the link tree in my Instagram bio or in the description of my YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe if you're on YouTube, and ask your friend to subscribe too. So I need more people than Ian across the pond commenting about how feminism is damaging to the world. Thanks for watching. Bye. Mind the Gap.